I haven't done a Facebook Live in a really long time. If you're watching this after the fact, this may be uploaded to YouTube, so apologies if that made zero sense to you guys. But I really wanted to make a video today, and I was like, you know what, we haven't done for a little while. We haven't done a live for a little while. So I thought we would start a video and we would have a little chat, because we haven't done this in a while, guys. We haven't done this in a while, and I really wanted to chat to you guys about community today. Plus, I'm apparently like glowing. I'm not sure what's happening. Like, I'm transcending into an alien right now. Like, we got this started off weird. That's how we mean to carry on. All the flies overhead, good stuff. So I wanted to talk to you about community, actually, because someone brought something to my attention, and I'd been meaning to talk about. Hi! Hello, everybody. Sorry for everyone on YouTube watching this later. I will probably address comments. But someone brought something to my attention today, and I really wanted to talk about community, because my perception of and understanding of what community actually is and means has completely evolved. Hi, everybody. I know, busy bee today, all that Patreon goodness. All up, it's like this. Also, I've been physically making products, so I have not stopped embracing Bowie. What do you mean embracing Bowie? You're saying I look like Bowie? Not quite sure what to make of that. I think that's a compliment. Anyway, community, streamlining, thinking straight. So someone came to me today and they were talking about like how people have been bashing community. And I was like, really? Because like all of my lessons have been of just what community actually is. And like I said, evolving that idea. So I was going to read a little bit from a blog post I did about this, and then we're going to expand that in the chat. And if you guys want to chat to me about anything else, you can just, within reason, you can leave that in there. But I'm just reading a second. So this is something that I came to the realization of, that community is not something you step into and it's set. Instead, community seems to me to be a ripple from ourselves at the nexus. It echoes out from us and is reflected back to us. It grows, it requires pruning, it needs sustenance, patience, and time, as well as boundaries. Lord knows we need some of those. Oh, I rhymed. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. I did know it. I have books. It is ever expanding and refuses to be limited or easily defined. And many of the problems we have with the notion of community come from our perceptional bias to what community is meant to look like, or if it's not serving our needs and we're just being arsey about it, basically. So perception is a huge thing right now. I don't know whether you guys have noticed. I may like flip back and forth to the midnight margaritas. Sorry, I just came back to the chat and I was like, ooh, this will make no sense for YouTube later. None. That's how we like it. Right. So perception's been a big thing recently, and how we perceive something to be, and whether we think it's right or moral or ethical, and kind of like peeling away the layers of what that actually means to us. And when it comes to community, I've noticed there's this thing that happens where you forget to put your ring back on after you were like messing with wires. Ring back on. That's not what we were talking about. Focus, Joey. You've got way too much energy today. That's the noise of focusing your energy, just in case. Super spiritual right now. Super magical. That's your noise. Go for it. All together now. Welcome, cat. You welcome. That's a really strange place for you to come in. It'll make sense when you watch it back, I promise. Well, not really, but you know, welcome. So when people are bashing community, especially like spiritual community, there's a number of things that can be happening, right? But I think the main one that I've noticed is like, have you ever noticed when people are like, oh, the community is toxic, the community is fucked, the community is this, blah, 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 blah. And what's actually happening is community isn't serving their needs. So they get like aggressive about it, or passive aggressive about it, or victim mode about it. And I think we've all been there. You know, we've all kind of felt like hard done by. And we've all been a little bit, you know, that's a little bit base. Basically, it's a little bit like low vibrational shit, basically. It's not giving us what we need, so we get huffy with it, right? And there's a lot of this happening. And it's like, no, community begins with us. You're having issues with live. Oh no, you missed the noises. Do you want me to make the noises again? There was an orb. I'm taking that as confirmation. There you go, cat. More noises. So where was I before I made really strange noises? Oh, it not serving our needs. That's what I'm just looking at my notes. Hang on 1 second. So there's this thing that happens, and people basically get really huffy about the idea that I should be more to this community. The community should love me. Well, guys, it starts here. It starts with sense of self. Yeah, exactly. Internalize their own problems as being the group's blame game. Exactly. And that is happening majorly right now. There's all this like victim mode stuff happening, and poor me, poor little me, and people don't like me, and me. And it's like, it begins at home. Like, self-evolution begins at home, and like you keep treating the community like shit, and guess what happens? So they learn, and they, you know, so if you're basically not treating people well, then that's going to reflect outside of yourself. I mean, it sounds like basic common sense, doesn't it? But you'd think so. You'd think so. Not so much. Sounds like someone I know too. Wink. So we're going to be... Right. Let's go back to the blog post. Okay, so there is a problem that happens when one thinks there is a community rule book. Generally speaking, there is no rule book, especially when the community has evolved organically and expanded. So in such circumstances, there will be rocky years where people come into conflict as our ideas do not mesh and they're unable to find common ground. This happens when we're talking about, like, you know, pagan communities, and we're talking abuses. So abuses is something slightly different to community. It occurs within the community, and this is something else that's been happening recently. I've just done a blog post which is about like drama leechers, people who basically use drama to fuel their own creative deficiency and all that goodness. Self-pity is no. I agree, Bonnie. No, just no. Because we're all responsible for ourselves, right? Common sense is so rare these days, it should be a superpower. Are you an earth sign, cat? So abuses is something else which is happening in the community right now. And somebody actually said to me the other day, what is, and I said this in the blog post, the other blog post, but we're going to refer to this anyway, that somebody said to me, like, what is it with your community? You guys seem to just want to eat each other. And there's so much like predatory bullshit. And I was like, I think that happens everywhere. I think that's human beings first and foremost, because I don't totally agree with that sentiment. I don't think the spiritual pagan community is any worse than any other community, because if you've been in the video game community, guys, geez Louise. And, you know, I've seen it happen in lots of different ones. So honestly, I think it's people. I don't think it's one kind of community. But what I will say is that spiritual communities definitely help people who are in hard times, who are vulnerable, who've been through a lot, or people who are seeking answers, right? And that tends to attract two kinds of people: the people who learn and heal and evolve and grow, and like, oh, Taurus, I knew she was an earth sign. Taurus moon, I felt it. That's me, I'm Taurus moon. Rein it back in. So when people are like, you know, the pagan community is worse than any other community. No, it's not. It's people. And honestly, I feel like community begins with self, and this idea of like this external community anyway is problematic, and it's not something that, you know, we talk about. So I don't think we're any worse, but it definitely attracts helpers and predators, right? There are all shades in between. Of course, it's not like two distinct groups. That's not the only two groups that come to paganism or spirituality or anything, because we're not like making people small, and we're not making people, you know. But I will say that this does tend to happen, that you definitely get people who care, they want to help, that, you know, that this is their passion, this is their heart, they give it their all, and you can tell who those people are. And then there are the people who basically, they're here to make a buck, whee, or they're here to like get power and ego satisfaction. That happens too. And honestly, guys, I saw something else again today. If anybody tells you they are, wow, there's my hairbrush right there. That was a bit unfortunate. If I just move across, it never happened. Never happened. I'm just gonna, there we go. I'm just gonna sit there. Never happened. Right. So if anybody says they're selling you the only way, the only road to ascension, the only spiritual path, the only truth, whatever, they're selling you something. Flat out. One equals the other in that. That's a dichotomy thing. Like, that is just, that's what that is. Like, they're going to try and sell you their way because it's theirs, you know? And it's like, okay. So all these masses of people, these massive, diverse, different people who have had the different lives, different experiences, they see through their own perceptions. Their perceptions are colored by their own experiences, which are influenced by memories, upbringing, all of this stuff. There's a whole load of stuff that impacts who we are as human beings, right? But there's one way to be spiritual. Lord, no. Just no. Like, yeah. I'm just going to read what Nathan said because that's a good point. So I also think those people who think it's broken, that they should be doing the most damage, that they should be lifted up by people who've worked their butts off instead of putting in the work for themselves. Yeah, there's definitely an entitlement thing that happens with community. I understand like some of the shadows around community because I felt them. And honestly, like my perception of community has definitely full on shifted because I was in a bad place and I honestly felt alone, and the community came out in droves and were like, you are not alone, girl. We see you. We feel your pain. We're here. And like thousands of people, I'm not exaggerating, thousands of people. And my heart, like it kind of like broke and regrew in that moment because I'm going to cry again. Geez, it still affects me thinking about it. Oh, because they caught me, you know, and I was just like, that is so, how can anyone claim that this community is an all-around bad thing? And no, I don't agree with that. We're going to go back to the post and talk a little bit more about being the nexus of your own community then. Yeah, so for myself, community is something most easily seen when people rally around something meaningful. Perhaps one of their own is in trouble, like what's happened to me. Perhaps there are situations we need to be pruned out and stood against. So when things need to be pruned out, that's abuses again. So that's the predators who come into this community. They use people, they abuse people, they prey on the vulnerable, whatever they're doing like that. It's no good. And the community does need, and it's an extended community usually now, because let's face it, the internet is an electronic nexus, which is very much like the spiritual ecosystem, but it's like electronic, and it connects us to people who we wouldn't otherwise be able to talk to. And that's the reality in which we currently operate. Okay, so the internet is a very real, tangible thing, and I'm not having people be like, it's not real. Relationships aren't real on the internet. I'm like, we could get into serious debates now about what real means. Like, it's energy vibrating, guys. And it's all based on, I've been doing philosophy for the last 3 days. So I'm in this space of what is mind? What is soul? What is perception? That's where I'm at right now. And like, that's why I'm glowing with like this. It's philosophy, guys. It's not an exfoliant. It's not a foundation or a highlighter. It's philosophy. It does something to your skin. No, I don't know. I'm going crazy. But when there are abuses, there is definitely a call to act that happens, and people have strong feelings about certain issues. I did talk about in the other blog post about the fact that there are shadows attached to these sorts of things, though, because there is this kind of like gawking at drama thing that happens, and it's encouraged by the society outside of the spiritual, but then it feeds in because people get this idea of celebrity in their head about spirituality and they want power, right? And rather than helping people, it becomes about who they are and how people think they are and fame and being remembered. And I remember listening to some of that diatribe wanting to vomit, because I was like, that's not helping people. That's not what spirituality is. And going in with that perception of, I'm going to be famous. Can you imagine? I'm like, okay. But I have completely derailed from where I was. So then I talk in this blog post about what I've already talked to you guys about, like when the community came forward, they helped me. And a lot of the people in the community said one statement to me time and time again, which was, you have given so much of yourself over the years. This is a small thing I can do to give back to you. And that statement again, I'm going to take that statement again nearly, well, it did bring me to tears, and it's nearly bringing me to tears now, because it felt like mutual energy exchange. It felt like I honor you as you have honored us. And there was something beautiful in that. And that to me is kind of like the essence of what community is. We share, we grow, we evolve. We don't all have to get on. That's never going to happen, right? We're people. And this idea of like harmony in community is really weird, because it doesn't happen. Like wherever there are people, there are going to be disagreements, you know? And this idea of one harmonious collective, that's not going to be a thing. That's never ever going to be a thing, because people, right? You'd hate to be famous. You know, someone recognized me for the first time the other day. I was like, oh my God, that's weird. But I was like, why, yes, thank you. I am on YouTube. It was so funny and surreal. I was just like, that's the first time it's ever happened to me. And I've been on YouTube, what? Is it 8 years? It's something ridiculous. But no, I wouldn't really want to be famous either. Like I want to reach people. I want to chat to people. I want to help people. But the idea of fame for fame's sake, no, thank you. It's a whole culture of, it's a whole culture of vulturistic voyeurism. That's right, people. How Virgo did you feel that sentence was? Vulturistic voyeurism with hand motions, apparently. These hand motions, which is basically people are preying on the pain and suffering and juicy gossip of what is happening to celebrities who are just human beings, right? I mean, the culture of celebrity is a whole other thing. But when you really think about that, it's kind of funky energetically. It's kind of like, ugh. Because would you want that for yourself? Because I know I wouldn't. Like, I know some of us would like, you know, the financial security, and some of us would like, you know, some of us might like to be in movies and things like that. That might really appeal to us. But can you imagine anybody being like, you know what I really want? I want to be chased by photographers on a permanent basis. I want to open my window curtains in the morning and there's somebody there trying to catch me in my underwear. That's not really what, like, 99% I'm going to guess of people want. Most people think of that as the downside, right? And that's not something that people want, but yet people consume it. And then as long as people consume it, there's a need for it, a call for it. Like, you know, it's a catch-22. And that's why I go nowhere near any of the gossip rags or anything like that, because I think it's just really unfair. Really unfair. And so back to the post, because I've gone very off track with all these hand motions. I don't know what's happening. Glowing, don't know what's happening. So I had struggled with community, and I kind of blinked at this idea that what the people brought to me when people were like, you have given so much of yourself, because it hadn't really occurred to me. Like, I hadn't really considered that aspect of my circumstances. I was very honored at the time, and people wanted me to know that they didn't pity me. But the honor that had all pulled out from Heartspace, it was a community that had been nurtured, a community that grew together, a collection of hearts and minds connected to my own. And that's how I arrived at the realization that community is not this thing that exists outside of the self. Instead, it is this thing that we create, this thing that we nurture, this thing that we reach out with. And it's really hard because I struggle with like reaching out to people, right? I know I'm a dippy on here, but like I have this thing, hi Jen, where I feel like I am an inconvenience to people. And so like meeting new people and like networking. God, I hate these terms. Always makes me feel a bit awkward. It's like when I meet up with people in real life, I'm like, don't be too crazy. Don't frighten the people. It's okay. Hold it in. It never works. It never works. I just end up being crazy in the end anyway. I'm just like, hi, because introverted then goes crazy. Hey, Chris. It's my sister from another Mr. Chris. She has her own rhyme. Are you jelly? She has her own rhyme. Sister from another Mr. Chris. Right. Anyway, breathe, recenter. So to me, it's definitely a shadow thing with community, because I want to reach out. I want to meet new people. I want to talk. I want people to listen. That's nice when people listen to you. It's a good thing. And you can have a discussion from that point, and you can learn from each other at that point. And you don't have to be stagnant and repeating the same old shit. Well, this hair, the same old shit, different day with this hairpiece. That's the whole thing. Yeah, I think you started to bring back the community. I see it more and more coming together over the past 3 months. Oh, that's really lovely. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I think like community struggles when we don't. Orb. So hi Courtney. Oh, another orb. Community struggles when we don't nourish it. And my word for the year is nourish, right? So I've been thinking about all things that kind of go around what nourishment is and what nourishment means and what we take in. And that's hence the Drama Llama blog post this morning, because like that whole drama thing is occurring, and I'm just like, here is drama. I just realized the camera's reversed. It really confused me for a second. I was like a cat, like, what's happening? Where's the laser light? Anyway, so community, sorry, drama is happening over here, and I'm like, whoop, no thank you. Boundaries, not interested. And the people that kind of like delicious drama, let's make me relevant again. I'm just like, this is not what the community needs. And then they insult the community, because but like, seriously, nourishing yourself, nourishing the people around you, nourishing community. It doesn't seem like a really hard concept, does it? But then it becomes entangled with human relationships, which, what was that? Was that orbs going like in circles? That was weird. I hope this is all showing on the video, because otherwise it's me being like, what's happening? What's happening? I'm back to being a cat. Okay, fox, in fact. So nourishing the community, I think, is a real, just a mile a minute. Breathe. You've got too much energy. Breathe. And I think we have to be careful where we place our energy and what we take on board and what we give back, because like beginning of community and energy and connection to one another. And so for me, if you're feeding on things like that, then you're putting out things like that, and you're just perpetuating that, right? And honestly, the world doesn't need more people tearing each other down, creating more drama, putting their 2 cents into drama. It's like, who cares at this point? Like, be better than that. Like, evolve, grow, stop like regurgitating the same old cycles over and over and over again like it's fresh and new. It's not. It's the same old shit. Just step outside of the patterns of shadow and fear and learn something. And I mean that to me too. Like, I'm not like I'm putting myself up here, because I have noticed that, there's something happening. We moved back into a Pisces moon, which might be to blame for this. But like, old shadows are like regurgitating right now. There's like feeling yourself being put back into an energy of like, have you dealt with this thing you really don't like? And I'm like, no, get it away. And what actually happens is choice at that point to how you behave, how you react, how you internalize, how much you like drink down the Kool-Aid, the drama Kool-Aid, or not. And I feel like the community doesn't need more people drinking in the toxicness of all that is and then regurgitating it. And instead, it's better to create. And this has been the kind of through line to nourish. Yeah, exactly, Courtney. What then people basically become a self-fulfilling drama prophecy. Yeah. So in order to go forward, I feel like we need to create. We take in only things that really truly nourish us. And I do want to just make a quick note here about that meme that's going around. Now, Kellyanne addressed this, and so it's not my idea to address this, but she was talking about that meme where people are like, oh, you say you're only taking what's good for you, your highest good, and then you get rid of people, and then you're going to be alone at 50. That meme. Because you have no conflict resolution. And it's like, wow, that's an either or situation. Because like, stop guilting women into being with someone, and stop guilting women into putting up with really bad, shitty behavior to be with someone. Like, that's an issue. So that kind of is, again, we have to learn conflict resolution and what nourishes us in balance. So sometimes I think that people do give up on things too easily. There is like a disposable thing. I have the opposite problem where, because I have that in my head, I'm like, oh, I must keep trying. I didn't try hard enough. It's my fault or whatever. And at a certain point, you basically need Chris to be like, girl, no, bitch. And that's how we do. And we do it for each other, to be fair. But like, to have someone that you really trust who will be like, no, girl, no, or whoever you might be, you know, maybe you're not a girl. I'm just talking about me and me and me and me and me and me and back to center self. I don't know what the matter with me is. I'm like glowing with crazy. And so it's really good to have somebody who basically you trust, who's a friend or whatever they may be. You know, a cat that sits there and goes, meow, slap her on the face. No. Daisy would totally do that, though. I don't know where she's gone. She usually comes and wanders through when I do this. So it's definitely good to have someone who anchors you and lets you know when something is not nourishing you. And in those circumstances, that's kind of like your inner tribe. You're close to heart tribe. And that is interesting because, you know, we talk about community in terms of it has to be a whole tribe, but actually it's kind of like multiple levels of of connectedness, right? Because community is actually layers. And like I said, it begins with us, right? So we're at the center of our own little solar systems. Don't get the wrong idea. And then everything like radiates out. So we have close tribe, you know, family close tribe, quite close tribe, extended people who aren't really, you know, friends, but a bit further out, and then associates, and then, you know, community strangers, etc. So there is like a layer thing that happens. So again, this whole idea that all community is bad is a bit cuckoo. So if we take in these energies and we create, we'll be in a far, far better. We'll be in a better place. I don't know what that is. Like, that was like, oh, well, it got stuck in my throat. It's better. Better. We okay now? Are we better? I think we're all right. Orb. It's like the orb was stuck in my throat. That sounded wrong. We're going to get back to self, back to calm, breathe. It's okay. You're being nuts. Right. So if we create and we change the world through our example, through what we create, through what we put out, through what we influence, through what we say, through what we speak, what magic we create, the lives we touch, the people we care about, the kindness that we show other people, that changes lives. That changes the world. That changes the community. Because toxic communities can only exist as long as we participate in them. And sometimes we have to show up and be an example. Sometimes we have to take on the responsibility of being better, of not allowing shitty behavior to keep being on repeat, to not allow newbies to be duped, to not allow behavior which is, you know, substandard, cheating, theft in communities, not allow abuses to go unchecked. Because when abuses go unchecked and none of us stand up for what is right in that circumstance, which is fairly obvious in most circumstances, if someone's being abused, that's wrong. Quick moral ethical lesson. If we allow it to keep going, the community becomes infused with it. It becomes a hiding place for abusers. And then people think the community is toxic when that's not the case. There might be 1,000 really wonderful, interesting, diverse people of all denominations, and then there's like 2 bad apples. And you know what happens with bad apples, right? Taint spread. So if we stand up to the bad apple and be like, get out the fruit basket, roll on out, or we're just not going to engage with that behavior. And I honestly feel like that is the most important thing, is where we choose to put our energy, how we choose to sustain our energy, and how we choose to radiate out from self. And it's been a big lesson for me, like what I was willing to put up with. And I've learned the hard way again, because, you know, daughter of Morgan, got to learn the hard way. So it really sinks in that you're better than that. You're better than that behavior. You're better than putting up with that. And if you can believe that in your heart and your soul, then you can radiate that out into community. And that is what matters, really, truly. So Nathan says, I think I have 2 handfuls of inner tribe I want to be in line with, but I feel like I'm on the verge of opening the door, and I do consider being a part of the community. So just remember, community begins here and it radiates out. Honestly, that's been a huge lesson for me. Like, there isn't like this set thing outside of the self. And yeah, there are people who get to know each other and might hang out regularly in real life. Like, physical community is slightly different to online community, but I mean, even online community, certain people hang out quite like more than others, but that's fine. It doesn't have to be how you thought it would be. You can allow your perceptions to shift and evolve and grow, and, you know, meet incredibly interesting new people. And just as we tailor off, because I'm around the 30-minute mark, and otherwise I'll just keep going on being weird for another 30 minutes, because you know I can. You know there's enough crazy in here for another 30 minutes. But I just wanted to thank the community. I've thanked the community a few times, because honestly, you changed my life. You saved my life. You saved me from the worst situation, one of the worst situations of my entire life. And the community showed me what happens when people come together, and they changed my life. It was a huge, huge change. And I am more alive now than I have ever been. I am happier now than I have ever been. I'm more myself than I've ever been. Still working at it. I hope we all keep working at it no matter what, right? But like, the community changed my life. Completely and utterly changed my life. And so here at the tail end of this video, I just wanted to say thank you, because without certain people in this community, I might not still be here. Orb again. And, you know, because, like, let's just say it how it is. Without Chris, I wouldn't still be here. And without a few other women, I wouldn't still be here as well. And I'm not going to mention their names just in case they don't want me to. They know who they are. Wink. And I wouldn't still be here. Like, I don't know where I would have ended up. I mean, I probably would have survived it, I hope. Touch wood. But it was touch and go there. And these people who came to me through community, let's not forget, have been some of, I'm going to cry, have been some of the biggest hearted, most wonderful, most supportive, and straight shooting, by the way. Like, when you find tribe, it's not all like holding people up and never holding to them account. Like, proper community. Oh, hi, you came in for the end. Okay, good. There's a little tail that went through there. That's a Daisy do. She's going to have some snacks. Nice and loud so everyone can hear you. Okay. Every time. She wants snacks every time we're videoing. So these people came to me through the community, and they changed my life. And they hold me to account. Like, if I'm like wallowing in some shadow shit, Chris will be like, bitch, mirror, like, come on. And I do the same for her. I love you too, Wolfie. And these are the people who came to me through community and who matter so much, these people who came to community. So this idea of like blowing off community, calling it toxic, bitching about it, telling them they're all wrong, is just nuts. Like, no. So I really did want to talk about community today, and I think we've done that in the 35 minutes of madness that you guys have sat through. Thank you for joining me for this, by the way. And it was just some thoughts I was having, just feelings around this whole issue of what it means to be connected to people and to honor that connection, to be authentic in that connection, and to not like deride it or derail it or mock it, because it's important that we as people, as humanity, as community, as all kinds of things happening around me apparently, come together, stand for and stand by one another. That's important. That is really important, because we look out for each other. I mean, I don't go around calling everybody brother and sister, because I think that's more close to home for me. Hi, you off? You off again? Woo! You're going to play with something now, aren't you? Do you want to come say hello to everybody? Come on. Hi. We're gonna attempt this, everybody. Right, come on. Come on. Come on. Look. Come over here, and then I can pick you up. Just a little bit. Come on. I'm trying to show everybody my love bug. Hang on. Oh, I got you. I got her. Hi. Say hello, beautiful. Hi. That's it. I got you. You're so beautiful. You could tell everybody how you try and sleep on my head now, because you're much happier. Yeah. You're my girl. That's it. You're my girl. You see the camera? Yeah. They saved you too. So you can breathe and play and have fun now. Mwah. Go on then. And you know, that is something actually that you guys saved her too. And I'm so grateful for that, because I'm going to cry again. She and I are so much happier. Twin Floof. Your Twin Floof from Canada says hi. So for anyone who doesn't know, Jess has a cat that looks exactly like Jessie. Jess has a cat that looks exactly like, I mixed up names. Jess has a cat who looks exactly like Daisy. Do you want me to throw something? Hang on. Go. That didn't work. All right, we'll try again. Hang on. I've got another bit. This is really entertaining for you guys. Run. There we go. She's chasing paper. Whee! You've got to flick it down the stairs so you can carry on chasing it, no? Okay. But, sorry. Jess has a kitty that looks like the twin of really like dead on twin. It's really funny, in Canada. And every time I see them, I'm like, they look so alike. It's strange. Anyway, but you guys helped me save her, and she can breathe now. Like, we've managed to sort out her breathing from not being in a smoke environment anymore. She's healthy again. And it was touch and go for a while. Like, I was really frightened for her, and you guys have helped me save her life, and you saved mine. So community to me means so much, so much. And I think we should stand up for that together. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for joining me. It was a bit all over the place towards the end, I know. And on YouTube, it will probably look even more nuts because they can't see the comments. But thank you for everyone who joined me today. Thank you for all the orbs, apparently, which are all going crazy. And I'll catch you on the next one. Many blessings, guys. See you later.